Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm Coffee, and he's Talk.
Good.
Right?
That's really good, yes.
The one who keeps us all organized is a little occupied this morning.
Yeah.
That's why it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
Kevin's around, but he is, just occupied. So we got other events going on around here, and they've using his talents this morning. So it's nice that he has the confidence that we can do this, hey?
Yeah.
Anyways, hope you're having a great week. It's a great start to it. If you're new to Coffee Talk, this is where we kind of look back at and kind of reflect and share some further thoughts on the sermon from the last week and look ahead to what is going on in the life around Lakeview Heights Baptist Church. And so first, Jeff, you've launched us into a new series, right? View from the Top. It's on the Sermon on the Mount. And we didn't just want to call it the series on the Sermon on the Mount because that seems...
Want to be a little more creative.
A little more creative, we want to bring a little, not intrigue necessarily, but a little more of a creative focus. Yeah. And as you introduced it, you kind of started a tone and a path for us to follow, kind of the big picture, and you brought in a quote that I thought was interesting because it kind of framed how we might look at the Sermon on the Mount in a little bit of a new way. Can you just remind us what that quote was, and then what about it kind of has been helpful to you as you prepare this series?
I think you're talking about the Leon Morris. He's a theologian, and he had a commentary on Matthew, and he said something like, I'd have to actually read it to get it perfectly, but something like, if we look at the Sermon on the Mount as a list, we can't just look at it as a list of far-reaching demands that are unattainable. The demands are there, certainly, he says, but so is the love and grace of God, right? Something like that. And I think what really stuck out to me about that was we tend to do one or the other. I feel like we tend to say, oh, it's too hard.
Right.
He must not mean what he's saying.
Yeah.
Or, we can do this. We got to do it all, right? And I think what he's doing is balancing it. And that quote doesn't meet, but what I was trying to do is kind of flip it. It's not God demanding something that we do in order to earn his blessing and to earn our place in his kingdom. He is offering his kingdom.
Yeah.
And as people who accept his offer, we become people who more and more are like what he's describing in the Sermon on the Mount. And I think that's the flip that we really need to recognize, which is so hard for us because it really does flip everything. Like in this world, if you're going to eat, what do you have to do? You have to work, right? You have to earn money. You have to, if you're going to get ahead, you have to work really hard. You have to prove yourself. And he's saying, no, in order to get ahead, you grab my hand.
Right.
Like we ask for help as a last resort in this world, right? But he's like, ask for my help right now, ahead of time. That's how you get, like the way you get the kingdom, this stuff is by receiving my help, right? It's a switch, but when you receive my help, I will help you become these things, right?
Yeah, and there's so many paradoxes in the kingdom, right? I think about another one is that it's the when we let go, then we really receive. Right? Is another one. It's said more eloquently by others, which I was trying to remember the exact phrasing. But it's that idea too, right? Yeah. When we really let go, then we actually receive more of what he's offering. And I think that's kind of where you're touching on that idea, right? That it's we receive, then we. It's almost like if we think of it in formation terms, right? When we are formed, then we become, and we begin living in a new way. So we said, or he said, that you brought to us, right? It's not just demands. It's very easy. Like when I think through the Sermon on the Mount, and it's such a broad passage. I know some scholars really wrestle with whether or not it was one or like a whole series that Matthew compiled, but whatever. We're going to receive it as a whole, and we're going to look at it as a whole.
Right.
And the problem is so often we don't, right? And I think of times where Jesus says again and again, those "you have heard, but I tell you" passages, where it's like he takes this principle or this scripture and he just dials it up to 11, right? It's like you have heard you have heard not to hate, kill, but I tell you to love those who persecute. And it's like, whoa, wait, can't we just go like Jesus? Why can't you just leave it at don't kill? Because I was nailing that one, right? And you're like, but don't even.
It's a lot easier,
And so we think, I'm like, well, that's kind of him saying, hey, if you're really going to follow me well, you're going to. But I think what you're trying to get us to is actually when we follow well, we find ourselves actually being the people who love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us, right? It becomes a more natural outflow of who we've become in Christ to go, oh yeah, and not just killing us. That's I'm so far beyond that through Christ. Let's be clear, not our own efforts, right? It's not like I'm just like, redoing my aspirations every day and suddenly becoming a more, more Jesus-like person. But like through becoming like him, then it's the outflow is more of this, right? And I think what I kind of heard in that was he stands there on that mountainside and Christ invites into a new way, right? He invites into the true, and you started touching on this too, the way Israel was to be.
Yes.
And Jesus stands there and says, I'm inviting you into the way it was really meant to be. And then the question becomes, are we going to accept that invitation and what comes with it? Because it isn't just an empty, or not an empty, but it isn't just a do nothing kind of invitation.
No.
There's some work.
Oh yeah.
There's some things that, terms and conditions we might say, right? That aren't going to leave us the same in a really positive way.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, but it isn't something to be afraid of. And because we trust that the one who's going to do the work is good, the result will also be good.
And it's not something to be afraid of because of who we're with in it all. It is something to be thought about. Like, am I ready to be changed, right?
Jesus has a whole parable on the cost of discipleship.
Exactly.
Right? And so don't just sort of say like, this is nothing, it's like no big deal.
Exactly. It's big.
Yeah.
But I was telling you earlier about this podcast I was listening to, and a pastor was saying that he was meeting with a contractor that had been working on the church. And he's like, hey, why don't you come and join us? And he's like, I don't want to. And he's like, well, why not? He's like, because I have to change. And the pastor said something that I was just like, this is really cool because it touches on how we were talking. He said, yeah, I guess you're right. We do have to change, but it's only the bad stuff. Like that's what he changes. The good stuff, your joyful personality, your fun-loving, all that stuff, that's not changing. It's the bad stuff that he's, and I thought, I think that really hits more on it because we have to be willing to be changed, but it's refining us into more and more beauty, not taking away any of our beauty, of what is really beautiful. So I don't know if that touches on what we're talking, but that just struck me as really, really cool.
Yeah, it's more like changing the way a great statue emerges from a hunk of marble, right? Or a beautiful carving emerges from the wood. It's like, there's this excess stuff in here that God wants to deal with, and there's to reveal His nature and reveal that He is embedded in us, right? And so that the part that is there that is not corrupted, the corrupted part will get redeemed and replaced and returned to what it should be, and the rest. No need to change who God made you to be, except the part that's corrupted.
as we think about it, oh yeah, okay, all of me is pretty corrupted, but, like all of us is.
Yeah.
But there's.
And that's a
good
huge,
stuff that seeps
that is
through.
a huge but.
Yeah.
But, right, his image is
Yeah.
still within us.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
it's in there. It just needs a little help to emerge, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I'm excited about I'm excited. I've heard some theologians that I listen to say, or maybe some pastor theologians say, any church that goes through the Sermon on the Mount will be changed. So I'm excited that, about that.
you could probably say that about any section of scripture.
It's true.
Not,
It's
like,
true. Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's very true. So, but this, it's very, there's a lot of writing on it. There's a lot of thought on it. Like another theologian that I mentioned, Craig Blomberg, said it's probably the most thought about, written about discourse that's, that there is. So, so there's a lot to come. It'll be good. Yeah.
Wasn't it Shane Claiborne who famously was called to give a sermon at a big conference, and he just got up. He just opened Matthew 5, read the Sermon on the Mount. Maybe he recited it.
That sounds like a Shane Claiborne thing.
Sermon on the Mount, dropped the mic, walked off stage.
Yeah.
That was it.
Sounds like something he might do.
And it sounds like like the way I heard the story told, is that everybody in the audience was just like, that's how you do it, right? Like we can't. There's no need to improve on the words of Jesus.
Yeah.
He gave a good one. None of us as an audience actually probably would be able to receive that because there's like too many points, right? It's like, come on, Jesus, stick to 3 points. It'd be great if they all start with a P and then you move on. He just went for it. And anyways, so that was last week. Hey, the next section, if you know the Sermon on the Mount, we're getting into all these Beatitudes. So we look forward to where that goes this week. Well, looking ahead then, we've got 3 main events we want to make sure that you're all aware of so that you can plan to participate in if they are suitable for you. I say that because one of them is a children's ministry event, and if you want to come help with it, love to have some helpers, but it's an event for those in elementary age school. So and that is on February 7th, which is a Friday. We're calling these events Friday, and they're for grades. I'm blanking on whether it's 2 and up or 3 and up, but
you've done these before. Friday.
We have done these before, but it's been a few months. Like the last one was in April, and so we're like, it's winter. What are we doing? Let's get back to it. And so
that's great.
We're excited about that. But we'll have all the information, a little graphic down here, or wherever, and it's coming up. You don't need to sign up in advance for it. It's like 3 weeks out, but we want to make sure that you can, if you've got kids in this zone, can be part of it.
Or even no kids that you think would be a good to invite.
Right. Invite your neighbors. I know that from my daughter, she's got a group of friends at school that keep asking, when are we doing another Friday? And she's got some new friends coming along. I've already, I had a parent stop me one day, like, what's this kids event at your church this Friday? I'm like, it's in February, but yes, I'm glad you know about it. That's excellent. And so
that's great.
It's really good. So that's coming up on the 7th at 6:30 in the evening, and it's for elementary age crew there. But that's not the first, chronologically speaking, things coming up.
Right.
Tuesday evening is
February
the pickleball tournament. And it's not just any pickleball tournament.
It's the second
the
annual.
second annual Steve Jones Memorial Pickleball Tournament.
That's right.
Where our sanctuary, which actually I think is a good word to use of a memorial, a place where you would hold a pickleball tournament, because it certainly becomes a ground where we gather and we have some fun and celebrate together. And so, whether you are a pickleball player who's, there's multiple levels, like there's the intermediate, the novice. I don't think we're really welcoming pros, but just, we'll sneak you in if you want to come and just dominate. That's fine, it's great. If you want to play, sign up, follow the link. If you want to just come watch and hang out, do that too. We were both watchers last year who got some playing
We
time.
got to step in because a partner couldn't or something. Yeah, it was great.
If you are a medical professional, please plan to attend as a spectator.
Are you speaking to your wife?
I'm not sure what she's doing that day. Haven't checked her schedule.
But yeah, it would be good because, there's a few skin knees and stuff.
We
yeah.
joke,
But it's fun.
but it's all in fun. But there was a few tumbles last year,
Yeah.
and so we don't come to watch the car crashes, but we want to cheer as people get up and keep going.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, it'll be a good night, and that's on the 4th.
Yeah.
Tuesday night, February 4th. Link to sign up, and if you want to participate. Otherwise, just come, watch, cheer, connect. And if you want to help in some way, reach out to Kevin, and he'll let you know if there's ways to get involved in terms of helping. Now, then on Sunday the 9th, right,
Yep.
Jeff? What we got going on Sunday the 9th?
Yeah, it's two things actually. Another soup and bun lunch after church,
Excellent.
after our gathering in the morning, and then right after it will be our annual general meeting.
Yep.
Which is where we do some of the business of the church. We welcome new members, we vote on the budget, we kind of explain some of the things that are happening. And so, yeah, that's all happening on February 9th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's service, soup, meeting.
Yeah,
yeah.
service, soup,
We need an S word for the meeting.
schedule, I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
we'll work on that one. We've got 3
Yeah.
weeks to figure it out, Jeff. We got to
Story?
get our best minds
I don't know.
on the annual general meeting.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. So that's the week of the 4th, the 7th, and the 9th. There's
Yep.
lots going on there for all ages and everyone. And the AGM people are welcome to come and listen and participate. It's just really members who
yeah.
can vote.
Yeah. But
These
anybody can come,
these
yeah.
aren't secretive,
Yeah.
meetings. But if you're a member, we'd love to have you there to kind of vote and participate in that way.
Yep.
And that's coming up all that. Well, that's probably
Yeah.
good for us to keep track of for this week. We will see you Sunday.